I'm going to go ahead and get the Pasco Consolidated Justice Information Board meeting started. It is about 10:02 on June 12th, 2020. Now, we are managing this meeting virtually, so thank you all for joining us virtually. And we don't have all board members present as of yet, but we're going to go through and take roll, and hopefully other board members will be joining us.
Hey, this is Eric Seltzer. I'm just jumping in.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
The Honorable Nikki Alvarez-Souls.
Present.
The Honorable Robert Dillinger.
Carrie Crea for Robert Dillinger.
You said Carrie Crea?
Yes. CREA.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Jim Weaver. Miss Melissa Fuller. Mr. Chris Dudley. Mr. Jeffrey Stein-Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Vicky Maurer. Captain Eric Seltzer.
Here.
Chief Kim Bogart.
Nikki.
Okay. So I thought I saw Jim Weaver on a little bit ago. Is Jim on?
Yeah, his mic is not unmuting.
Oh, his mic's not unmuting. Oh, that's
There we go.
fun. Okay, Jim, try now. We still don't hear him.
One more time, Jim, I unmuted you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, there we
thank
go.
you. Thank you, Jim. And do we have a representative from the State Attorney's Office?
Nikki,
So okay, who spoke?
this is Kim. I see Jeannie Hammond on the call, but she's muted.
I do too. Jeannie, are you able to speak or unmute and try to talk?
Can you hear me?
Hey, Jeannie, unmute and try to talk again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, say it one more time, Jeannie.
Can you hear me?
You are very soft on the mic. I don't know if
Okay.
you could get closer to the mic.
Okay.
Could you?
I'm as close as I can get to it.
Okay. Thank you, Jeannie. We did hear you. You're just going to have to project really closely to the mic. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got Jeannie, Eric. She's here for Vicky Maurer, yes. And do we have anyone from the Newport Richey Police Department on?
See who this call-in user is, because whoever the call-in user is, can you identify yourself? The phone number is starts with a 4. Oh, sorry. Whoever the 727-232, whatever caller that is, please identify yourself.
Lieutenant Lauren Latona from Newport Richey PD.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. And is there anyone in from Department of Corrections? Okay, so I assume not. I didn't hear anything. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members present of our board. Thank you all. This will be a little clunky. And if at this time, if you're not speaking, if you could mute your mic so that we don't have to fight with the background noises in your area, that would be great. So if at this time, everyone could mute themselves. Great, thank you very much. Okay, so I just want to make a comment about the agenda itself. There is a statement in it that is not correct, and it is the bold statement before the agenda items. It says this meeting is being held virtually due to COVID-19. That is correct. It says, please click on the above hyperlink to register, and that is not correct. So I wanted to be reflected in the agenda for the record that the please click on the above hyperlink to register is to be removed from that because I don't believe we embedded it in there. Okay, so this is time for public comment, and this meeting was advertised for individuals to register for public comment and to call in or send an email, and I will ask Todd Kersey if there's anyone for public comment.
There is no one at this time.
Great. Thank you. All right, we will go to the next item, which is approval of the minutes from our March 13th, 2020 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And I will be happy to entertain a motion to approve.
Move approval of the minutes. Second.
So Jeff Steinsnyder moved and Eric Seltzer seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, I think I gave everyone enough time to unmute and to say their ayes. And so now I will entertain any nays. Hearing none, the motion to approve the minutes of March 13th, 2020 is approved. Okay. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 4, interfaces, reports, and upgrades. The clerk and controller, we have Tim Jamison, Director of IT.
Good morning, everyone. We do have a new version of Clericus coming very soon, and the changes contained in that version are largely driven by changes at the state level. There's improvements that are being made in it to ease transitions between the different versions of TCATS ICDs for reporting and also for e-citation interfaces. That will help greatly with that. There's also improvements in tracking guardianship audit requirements. And there's also things that are driven by our shift to using more electronic processing via the portal. So what can we expect? We're going to get, it should be easier to do e-citation implementation because we won't have to juggle if we're on the same version between the clerk's office reporting TCATs and the agency submitting. We won't have to juggle which version we're on, if it's 6.0, 6.1, or the minor versions in between. So right now for e-citations, we do in the clerk's office receive red light camera tickets electronically. We receive the Florida Highway Patrol tickets electronically, but locally the LEO agencies submit paper tickets still. So that's an opportunity we have that it should be easier to work on from this point forward. So that's could be something that we could consider to lighten everyone's workload a little bit. So the clerk's office will have an easier time tracking guardianship audit requirements. And then here's something that's going to affect us all. They're changing the structure of the storage regarding emails. Right now in Clericus, the storage structure is based on typically a single email for an address. And so, of course, we have, as things have moved more and more electronic, we have many companies and agencies and attorneys that we're dealing with that have more than one email address that they would like us to use depending on the circumstances. So the structure of the email addresses are being changed to from one-to-one with an address, physical address, and email address. They're being changed to a one-to-many, so that an organization might have one physical address, but they can now have many email addresses that are associated with that. So that will be helpful as we continue to move into more electronic service. So what's the implementation plan? Well, we've been accepted as a beta site, and we've just received this week the code to build out the test systems. We've been in contact with County IT to just give them a heads up they need to grab the code and start on their test system. Pat will probably update us on that. We're putting together in the clerk's office our internal testing team. We've started evaluating databases and some of the stored procedures. And whatever information we have, we're going to send to everybody on our contact list for our communications plan for Clericus. So everyone's going to get whatever we have on Monday. We do not have the release notes yet. If you're not a beta site, which there's many other Clericus customers, they won't even know about this upgrade until sometime in July. So we do have a kind of a head start on that and a little bit more time to work on it. I can tell you this from the analysis and discussions we've had with the vendor so far. This is not like last year's upgrade. It is not a full platform upgrade. It's not going to require network changes. So it's basically a single version upgrade of the software. So it's a little more than a hot fix. So what that means is we're going to want to test whatever's changed, of course, but we're also going to want to just review and retest our basic core day-to-day functions that we use. Now, when we have the information and we get a little bit more time to get the test system set up, we will schedule a kickoff meeting with all the agencies just so we can kind of synchronize our testing activities and determine how we're going to report anything that we see that's not working properly in the new version. So that kind of covers my update from the clerk's perspective. And Pat is in receipt of this information too, so he can kind of talk a little bit about how it's going to affect the state and PD systems.
Thank you, Tim. Does anyone have any questions for Tim? If you do, please unmute and state your question. All right, thank you, Tim. I did not see Pat Bros earlier. Is he on? Okay, great. He's on. I just can't see him. Thank you, Pat. If you could give us an update from County IT. Thank you.
One of the things that has been an issue is the communications between the state attorney and the clerk's office. The services have been problematic. They seem to have leveled out to some degree, so we have not had as many errors in the communication between the three systems. So that's a good thing to report. And as Tim had said, yeah, there will be the similar type of modification to the state attorney and the public defender as far as the emails. There are some bug fixes that are also in the so we will be working the clerk's office so that we can coordinate moving the information, keeping it in sync so we can have our test systems talk there. So we'll be coordinating that together because we just got the information yesterday data release. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Pat. And just to let you know, you were a little broken up in your communication, but I didn't stop you because I think we got the gist of it and we're able to fill in the little, I guess, blank areas. But anyways, I think your communication came through. Thank you for looking at that and starting to work on that with our office. I appreciate that. Any questions or comments for Pat before we move on? If so, please unmute. Okay, hearing none, we'll go to agenda item number 5, and it is our JAWS update with Jim Weaver, with the Court Technology Manager. Jim, please unmute, and the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. So the JAWS return testing is going very well. We actually ran into a problem where we were trying to bring all the attorney accounts and legal assistance accounts from Pinellas into Pasco. So we ran into a snag there. So we decided just to clean them all out and start fresh. So all attorneys will have to set up new accounts in Pasco. It's probably a good thing. Probably get rid of a lot of old data that we don't need anyway. So that would be, I think it'll be a better story anyway. Issues that we have found have been rectified really quick. So we're, like I said, we're moving very quickly right now. I did have a meeting yesterday with the Pinellas and Pasco Journal programmers to work out a couple things. So they were each changing or trading some ideas. And currently, right now, we're looking at pushing the code to the production job, a certain server, so we can do some testing to make sure it starts working there. So we're making great progress, and it's coming along well. Hopefully, a month or so, maybe we'll have that attorney one up and running. We'll see.
Great. Thank you, Jim. We're excited that this project is moving forward and meeting the goals, which is great. And I also wanted to thank the programmer from County IT, Kenny. I think that he works really well with you and with our office and to get this going. So very good. Are there any questions for Jim at this time? Please unmute.
There's also another programmer that they hired, that they brought in, that's been helping out. So we have 2 programmers there now, and that's helped out. And could I do a quick update on Zoom?
Yes, you may. We're excited to hear about Zoom. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, the chief judge wants us to have all the judges trained on Zoom by the end of the month. And I would say probably about 90% of the judges are already trained. Many of them are starting to use it, and I just want to thank all the other entities there for their support and working with us and getting that moving. So thank you.
That's wonderful. I actually was just on the phone with Chief Judge Rondolino before I got on to this meeting, and he did update me on that. And it looks like the court is very eager to help get that backlog moving forward and to start moving things. So it's great. And then in Pasco County, our COVID numbers are looking really good. So there might be an opportunity to go to phase 2 sooner than in Pinellas, perhaps. So we will see what the work group is planning for that, because there is a local work group on the phased-in approach to get court back to full operation. So very exciting news about Zoom. Thank you. Any questions or comments for Jim? Please unmute. Great. Jim, great update. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move to the state attorney with e-filing update. And I believe it's Jeannie.
Yeah, this is Jeannie. Can you hear me?
Hi, Jeannie. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. We're still waiting on the upgrades from Klavis. They're working on our requests so that we will be able to e-file.
Thank you, Jeannie. Are there any questions for Jeannie? Please unmute. All right. Thank you, Jeannie. I appreciate the update. Okay, so now we're going to move into item 7 on the agenda, where we go around and each of the agencies will give an update from their office. I was wanting to just ask if you would like to share any projects that your office is working on that'll bring some efficiencies. Please feel free to do so. I think that all of our offices do such a great job of doing things better and more efficient. So this is your time to brag on your office and the things that you're working on. In addition, I'd like for us to learn from each other. And I think this is also a good time to talk about COVID-19 protocols that you have in your office. When we met in March, it was just beginning to go through the whole shutdown, and we talked about what we were doing at that point. You saw it in the minutes. So we have learned a lot and have done things probably a little bit differently. And just to talk about what protocols you're using, it may be helpful to share ideas, and we can do that in this meeting. If you want to go through that at how you are, protocols you're putting in place for your team, your staff, and also for the public in your office. So If that is good with you all, then we shall start. Jeannie, the state attorney's office is listed first.
Okay, thank you. We're just going by the CDC guidelines. We have provided masks for everyone in the office. We're social distancing. We're still on having team A and team B, so only half the staff is here at the time. Some of the attorneys are working from home. We're setting up the computers to use Zoom. We've got the chairs in our lobby are separated so people coming in are not by each other. We have the plexiglass in front for our staff. We're just moving along, getting everything going.
Great. Thank you, Jeannie. Any questions or comments for Jeannie before we move on? Okay, we'll move on to the public defender now. Carrie?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
We are continuing with the social distancing within our office. We're on 2-shift accrues for support staff. The attorneys come into the office when there's court. Otherwise, they are working remotely. Our IT staff, we're in the office 3 days a week and working from home 2 days a week. We wear masks in all of the common areas. We have sanitation stations set up. Our lobbies are still not open. Our attorneys can video visit with our clients from the office and from home using Zoom. Now that the sheriff's office has that available, that was nice. We are going to be utilizing Zoom depositions. So we're getting that worked out. Pinellas County has started that, and we're going to follow suit with that. We need to work with the police agencies to see if they're going to be on board with the officers doing Zoom teleconferencing or televideos. And other than that, we are going to wait on the COVID updates and any administrative orders on opening back the office to full staff.
Thank you, Carrie. Are there any questions or comments for Carrie? All right. Well, thank you, Carrie. And we're going to move to the sheriff's office. We have Captain Eric Seltzer.
Thank you. The Sheriff's Office continues to work with judicial partners to try and figure out how we're going to open up the courthouse and who's going to be doing what. That's an ongoing process. You heard from Carrie about we're moving towards Zoom depots with the PD's office. So we're excited to do that, and hopefully that continues going forward, past COVID. We're hoping to leverage some of this technology into the future. We're working with the state attorney's office on several projects. We're doing the invest via Zoom and working on hopefully continuing some of that. So everything's an ongoing process, and we continue. Otherwise, things are going well for the most part based on everything we have going on. So I don't really have anything else at the moment.
Okay, very good. Yep. It's interesting to hear everyone, because with this pandemic, we have learned how to do things virtually and differently, and it now may change when we come back to full service how we're actually going to perform the work, because this virtual world is working for us and it keeps us safe. So thank you for those comments, Captain. Okay, so are there any questions for Captain Seltzer? Please unmute. Okay, then we will move on to court administration. We're back to Jim Weaver.
Okay, the courts are, of course, following the Supreme Court guidelines for the COVID pandemic. And I know the chief judge has created 5 work groups, one for each court location. That's including Pinellas and Pasco, and assigned judges to each one of those. And they're working out all the demographics and what needs to be done because each building is a little different. And I know they're working with all the other stakeholders also. A lot of staff, of course, are teleworking. Some judges are coming in Depending on their court hearings, they need to be recorded, and we need to get the records. So, of course, they're in the courthouse being recorded, and others are working remotely. So I think that covers it in a nutshell.
Okay. Very good. And we do have local work groups, both on the east side with Judge Sestek and on the west side with Judge Crane, trying to figure out, because you're right, every courthouse has different needs. And so I think it's great, multiple agencies coming together to figure out what is the phased-in process going to look for us. So we're excited to work on that work group with the courts and the other justice partners. So thank you, Jim. Are there any questions for Jim or comments? All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on. Even though I'm going to try to, again, for the Department of Corrections, is there anyone connected now for the Department of Corrections? If so, unmute. All right, hearing none, we're going to move to the Newport Richey Police Department. Lieutenant Latona, if you would.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're on the same page as everybody else. I'm getting more proficient at my computer use, I'll tell you that. But we are open full service. We take calls for service, what we can, late reported items over the telephone, and are handling most of our submissions electronically. And that's really all I have to report.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Again, even though there was no representative from Department of Juvenile Justice when I took the role, is there anyone on the line now from Department of Juvenile Justice? Please
Can you
unmute.
hear me?
I can. Who is this voice? Is this
Hi,
Melissa
I'm
Fuller?
sorry. This is Melissa Fuller. Yes, I had the worst time trying to get connected to GoPro. I was using the wrong browser. I apologize for being late.
Fantastic. Well, we are happy you are here. Right now, we're going around giving agency updates. We are talking about any projects that your office is working on, and also any COVID-19 protocols your office is performing to protect your team as well as the public. So if
Yes,
you don't mind, if you could give us your update.
Yes, ma'am. Currently, our offices remain closed. We are not having any visitors or children coming to the office. We are still going to houses to do drive-up contacts with some of the families. We're utilizing Zoom and FaceTime and Skype as much as possible to keep in contact with the kids. And a lot of work is being done through telework. We're trying to keep less than 50% population in the offices at this time. We're not sure when we're going to be reopening to the community, as you know, things are changing daily with COVID. So we're hoping in the next couple of weeks to have a little bit more direction on that. I know that court hearings have started. They're being held telephonically, and that's interesting. We're doing Zoom and Pinellas. Pasco, we're doing over the phone. So it's moving along, and we're hoping to get some cases resolved because we do have quite a bit of a backlog from March. So delinquency overall has kind of gone down. So that's good. And juvenile crime overall has kind of gone down, and the arrests and the incoming kids has kind of gone down just with everything going on. So, and we're all of our staff are using PPEs and, you know, going through the extra sanitation and whatnot. So, but that's pretty much all we got going on over here.
Well, it sounds like a lot. So, all right. Well, thank you, Melissa. And does anyone have any questions or comments for Ms. Fuller? All right. Well, thank you so much for not stopping and continue to fight on to connect. So we appreciate the update from TJJ. Thank you. All right. So we are going to move on to the Board of County Commissioners, and the representative is the County Attorney, Mr. Jeff Snyder.
Good morning. I guess since the last time we all met, my office went to one support staff, one lawyer in a day. And that seems to have worked out pretty well. It allows the main line to be fielded and then referred out to the lawyers that are working remotely. Lawyers and support staff are coming in every once in a while just because there's stuff that you have to do with paper still, and but we generally don't have more than 1 or 2 lawyers in the office at a time. We're waiting to see what county administration decides to do on reopening the government center. At this point, probably, if I had to guess, I'd say sometime after July 4th. The governor's order for virtual meetings expires the beginning of July. So I think our last virtual board meeting is going to be the one on June 30th, but then we're going to move into sort of a hybrid system where there's a quorum of the board, but I think the public is still going to be either limited in their access or virtual. And we'll be promulgating rules about how that's going to happen at the July 14th meeting. And that's about it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Steinsnyder, for your update. Good to know about the future BCC meetings. So thank you for that update as well. Any questions or comments for Mr. Steinsnyder? Please unmute. Okay, thank you, Jeff. All right, so the last update is from the Clerk and Controller's Office, and we have our Chief Operations Officer, Kim Thompson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
To add to what everyone has been saying about the COVID-19 updates, our office continues to utilize social distancing and teleworking. We have provided our teammates who are in the office with sanitizing supplies and PPE, mask, and gloves. We are currently working on our return to office planning along with the courts. Myself and Len Madison and Jerome Jordan are on the teams that were created by Chief Judge Rondolino for the East-West Side courthouses here. And we had our first meeting yesterday and discussed, developing additional signage. And the county has volunteered to provide any sort of tents or coverings for the outside queuing of people entering the building to kind of provide some shade as they're waiting to come into the building as we begin to work towards reopening. So there's a lot of efforts going on along, as I heard with everyone else. We're all trying to do the same thing, make our work environment as safe as we can possibly make it. That would be it for the COVID update. I have other items to discuss if you are so, it's okay.
Yes, I just wanted to mention on the COVID update that we have been full service to our customers, whether they come into the office, if they are virtual or virtually. And in order to instill the 6-foot social distancing between our front counter team and the public, we have put tables in front of our front counters to keep the public at 6 feet. However, a lot of times the public tries to push those tables out of the way. A lot of them have wheels and they roll around easy. So we're looking to get tables that do not have wheels, and we can tape them together. So it would be more difficult for an individual to try to move the tables to be able to ensure we have social distancing, because of everything that the CDC has published, social distancing seems to be the key and the main pusher to keep ourselves and our team and the public safe. So we're working really hard to ensure that social distancing in the office with our teammates as well as the public. So go ahead, Kim, if you have further updates, please.
I do. I have a few projects that we're currently working on to improve some efficiencies in our office. One of the things I wanted to bring up, which a number of the people in the meeting might already be aware of, is our e-notify service. It was a service that was created between a collaboration between the the Office of State Court Administrator and the Clerk's Office. It is a notification program that anyone can sign up to get notified about upcoming court hearings. They have options of 1, 7, or 14-day reminders, and it could be the defendant or anyone who is interested in those cases to receive the notifications. So that service is available, and as we're moving toward reopening the courts, I wanted to put that reminder out there for everyone.
Kim, I just wanted to say that that is for criminal courts only. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So in any cases that are, and the cases are scheduled in Clericus. So it's connected that way.
Okay.
Any questions about that service? Okay. All right, so another program that we're working on implementing very shortly is our e-signature program. It's going to be utilized in our civil area for issuing summons and writs. This, we're going to have a pilot group of testers work on this. We have a meeting with them scheduled on June 24th. It's a mix of attorneys and process servers. And this will be allow attorneys to e-file their summons instead of providing hard copies, and we will be able to sign those summons electronically, and then the attorneys will be able to download them from the site to have them served. So that is, the pilot is scheduled to begin on July 6th, and we'll run through, we have some built-in time to allow for updates, and our full implementation is scheduled for August 3rd. We will do our communications efforts and notify the bars, notify all of the various stakeholders for that who are impacted. But that is pretty exciting for us. It's supposed to be a really, it will be a big efficiency for our operations. Any questions about that e-signature program? Okay.
I just want to say I'm excited about it.
Yes, very excited. The final item quickly is it's called Court Pay, and it's a service that we're going to be linking to our website that will allow for partial and full payments of any outstanding court criminal court obligations. So currently we only have traffic tickets that are available to be paid through our web service, but this will expand it to include all criminal case types. So if they have outstanding monies due, they will be able to go online and make those payments partially or in full through that service. And we are in the beginning phases of getting this implemented, but this should be relatively quick. So we're hoping that by mid to late summer, this will be available. And that is all for my update, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Thompson? No, okay. I think that, the pandemic has allowed us to focus on some big projects. So there is a silver lining, I guess, in it as well to allow us to move projects a little bit quicker in the timeline. So good job and to our team. So thank you, Kim, for the update. I'm going to move on now to our final topic on our agenda, which is other business. I do have some items on there. Does anyone else have items too, so I don't forget you for other business? Please unmute. Okay, so I just want to talk about the next meetings that are coming up. We have agreed to meetings, I think it was maybe a year ago, to schedule out through, or maybe at the beginning of this year, to schedule out through the end of this calendar year. So our next two meetings for this year of 2020 is September 11th. And I want to make sure that that date is still good, since it is a historical date in our country, 9/11. So I want to make sure that that date is still good with everyone. And then the next date is December 11th, 2020. And I'm assuming that's probably still good with everyone, but can we confirm that the 9/11 date is still good with everyone's calendars? If you could unmute and let me know.
State Attorney's Office is good.
Thank you.
Same with Public Defender.
Okay,
Right now, I'm good for that as well.
great.
Courts are okay with 9/11 also.
Thank you.
Newport Richie is good with it.
Okay, great. How about DJJ? Ms. Fuller, are you still on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, great. And Mr. Steinsnyder?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Okay, thank you. And it is good with my office too. So perfect. All right, I just want to make sure of that. At the 9/11 meeting, prior to our 9/11 meeting, we will send out dates for the 2021 year so that at the 9/11 meeting, we can approve the dates for the 2021 year ahead of schedule. And so that we never miss a meeting, a quarterly meeting for this board. Now, as we were talking, I believe we will need to pick a chair for this meeting coming up. I'm going to check the last history of when the chair was picked for this, but I think that we're going to have to nominate and vote a chair at the next meeting, but I will double check that in our meeting minutes to see when that comes up, just to be certain. Okay, so if you want to be chair, just throw your name in. All right, that's all of the updates. Oh, I did want to say, we did schedule the September and the December meetings virtually just in case. So Mr. Steinsnyder, I appreciate your update regarding the Board of County Commissioners meeting and how it's going to work. So we will watch what the board does with their meetings and see how, what our September and our December meetings will look like. But just to err on the side of caution, we did go ahead and schedule them as virtual at this time. That may change. So it all depends on where we go with COVID-19. Okay. Is there any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.